Hello. People call me Dallas. I'm a new channel. I want to talk about some stuff. I want to talk about America. I want to talk about freedom and liberty in the United States. This is what I want to do for now and for a while, at least for the foreseeable future. You may be wondering, why are you wearing a mask? Well, there are a number of reasons. There are some personal reasons. People that I may know may recognize me. But also security. If and when the revolution comes, I'm hoping that it will not be me that is against the wall, with my head bowed. This is why I'm going to extreme measures to protect my identity. The mask is distorting my voice, so no one will be able to recognize me by the sound of my voice. Where do I stand politically? Politically, I'm pretty moderate, actually. In fact, I would say probably more center-left than anything else. Culturally, one might describe me as right or counterculture, contrarian, as I always have been. Culturally, in the sense that I don't support critical race theory. I am anti-SJW. I do not believe in the woke culture or the woke movement, the cult of intersectionality, which is a cancer spreading and festering like an open sore in our country right now. I don't believe in these things. So in that aspect, I suppose you could consider me culturally right, but politically I'm moderate center-left. I'm I suppose, the classical sense of what a liberal is. You know, before the Democrats lost their fucking minds. I don't believe in things like war or violence. I don't believe in the death penalty. I'm for legalizing marijuana. I'm pro-choice. But I have a strong constitutional bias in the sense that I value the constitutional amendments above all else, specifically the First and Second Amendments. Now, I don't think I need to explain to you why. You seem like a smart individual. I'm sure you can comprehend why those two amendments are so critical to the basis of our democracy. Now, enough about me. I want to talk about something else other than me. I gave you some background on who I am, but I want to talk about something that's concerning me today, specifically regarding the First Amendment. Here it is. Biden appoints free speech antagonist to sell free speech abroad. Now, many of you may have heard of this. I feel, though, as though many of you have not. There's a reason I'm bringing this up, and it's because the mainstream media has decided to ignore this almost entirely, and even some of the right-leaning sources, including independent sources that I follow on social media, seem to have just completely ignored this, and it's very, very concerning. So this is regarding a man named Rick Stengel. Stengel? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. He is a journalist, an author, and he used to work under the Obama administration. So let's get into this. So he used to work for Time. He was a Secretary of State for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs in 2013. He became the 24th journalist to officially join the Obama administration. By the way, this is the nationalreview.com. There are a couple of other websites that seem to have copy-pasted this, but this appears to be the original source of this, as far as I can tell. If I am wrong, please point it out, or please direct me to the original source or similar articles, if you can find them. So this guy is a Democrat, obviously. He has a avowed history of not only being anti-free speech and advocating against free speech actively, but also he believes that the Constitution should be abolished. Now, obviously, I have some problems with this, considering that the Constitution protects our inherent and individual rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as well as some of the many privileges that we take for granted nowadays, like being able to say whatever you want and being able to protect yourself. Now, you may argue, as many have, well, Dallas, there's not really free speech as we know it. Yes, there are some exceptions. The obvious argument is you can't yell fire in a movie theater. You can't threaten somebody. You can't threaten to kill somebody. You can't conspire to kill somebody. These are all true, and that is why they are laws. But everything else is free speech. Even if it's hate speech, it is still free speech. And that means that it needs to be protected. I may not disagree with the sentiment of the speech. However, I will protect your right to say it. So, Rick Stengel, anti-constitutionalist and anti-free speech. Stengel has just been appointed to Biden's transition team to the U.S. Agency for Global Media. Now, I wasn't aware that this agency existed. As you know, there are so many government agencies nowadays that it would spin your mind. But essentially, this agency, according to the article here, says it oversees public service media networks that provide unbiased news and information in countries where the press is restricted. So essentially, what they do is they go to areas that either don't have access to news regularly, or to countries where perhaps they don't have the same liberties and freedoms that we enjoy in America, and is supposed to be vouching and trying to spread the message of free speech, the First Amendment, and the liberties that ensue with that. Now, how can somebody who hates free speech, who advocates against free speech, believes that hate speech should be a crime, and believes that the Constitution should be abolished, how can he be qualified to go to these areas, to go to these countries where they're repressed, to go to these countries with tyrannical regimes, to go to these countries where they may not even have access to information? How can he go there and be qualified to tell them about the benefits of free speech? It's an absolute hypocrisy, and to say that I'm concerned with this appointment is an understatement. I don't believe that the President of the United States should appoint anybody who doesn't believe in free speech. And the same goes for Trump. First of all, I want to be clear, I'm not a Trump sycophant. I'm not his biggest fan. There are some things I like about him. I think there are some things that I dislike about him. However, if Trump had been the same person hiring this man, I would give him just as much shit as I'm giving Joe Biden right now. This is an absolute abortion of our democracy to hire anybody who would think this way. Now you can say, well, Dallas, why do you think that somebody who believes this shouldn't be hired if you believe so vehemently in free speech? Because it's not about the person being hired. It's not about censoring them. They're not qualified. They don't believe in the very thing at their core to be fighting for. It's not about their ideology. It's not about censoring their ideology. If he wants to talk about how much he wants to abolish the Constitution, that's his prerogative. He can do it all he wants. I don't care. That's fine. It's his right to. But you don't go to a job interview to be a welder when you have a degree in history. The foreman's going to look at you and he's going to go, how are you qualified to be a welder? It doesn't make sense. Here's a quote from Stengel. We can pat ourselves on the back about the past 223 years, but we cannot let the Constitution become an obstacle to the U.S.'s moving into the future with a sensible healthcare system, a globalized economy, an evolving sense of civil and political rights. The Constitution does not protect our spirit of liberty, Our spirit of liberty protects the Constitution. The Constitution serves the nation. The nation does not serve the Constitution. And that about sums up everything that Richard Stennell feels about the Constitution, about free speech, and I believe is indicative of what his service to this U.S. agency abroad is going to look like. This is deeply concerning to me, my friends. It's an abortion. And Joe Biden, if you are watching this, if for some reason, somehow you are watching this, just don't do it, man. Don't do it. You're selling out the country that you have spent 47 years devoting your life to. I mean, granted, personally, I don't think you've done that much. I don't think you've done enough. But if you are watching this, please do not hire this man. He does not have the United States' best interest in mind. He does not care. He's an activist. He's simply furthering that intersectional ideology, that hateful, divisive intersectional ideology. That's all I have for today. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Leave a comment if you want to leave your piece down below. This is Dallas TV. Remember, gotta get that money.